I can't remember when I last read The Girl Without a Voice, but I'm currently rereading all of Casey Watson's books. This time I'm rereading them chronologically. You don't need to, but I feel like it's a much more enjoyable experience to read them in order. And this one was originally released in 2014, and this is the first book chronologically where Casey Watson is working at school. And she ran a unit where she would teach children who are not quite ready for mainstream classrooms, or they're maybe on the edge of being excluded. But by having them in the unit, she can work with them on a more one-to-one level and try and help them get back onto the right path. And in this story, a new girl has come along to the unit. And this is a 13-year-old girl called Imogen who has selective mutism, and she's moved to this school because her grandparents feel that it was her previous school and various bullying that she went through that led to selective mutism. And there is a reason why she's living with her grandparents, but I won't go into that. I don't want to go into too much background information because the book details all that when the time is right. But it's all about helping her to find her voice. What's interesting is that she's only mute at school and in other environments. At home, she is definitely not, as Casey does actually find out at one point. And we do get to the bottom, of course, of why she's got selective mutism, and honestly, it's not predictable. It's completely unexpected, it's shocking, it's disturbing, and I don't want to say any more than that. It's also pretty great if you work with young children or anybody who's got selective mutism, because somebody comes to talk to Casey to explain some tactics that she can put in place to try and encourage Imogen to speak. And we see in the book Casey practicing some of these techniques. And whenever they work, I felt that satisfaction, at least a small degree of that satisfaction that Casey would have felt at the same time. And it's definitely a very gripping book. There are some times when it drags a bit and it doesn't really move forward very quickly, and there are times when I feel like they could have just removed certain sections and it wouldn't have really lost momentum, but not so much that I felt like I wanted to skip anything. But it's just worth bearing in mind that there is a chapter here or there where it doesn't really add any value and it's not really that engaging, at least from my perspective. I don't enjoy the memoirs from her time working at the school as much as I do the foster care memoirs, but they are equally as valuable. They are definitely as interesting, and it really is quite eye opening about the different backgrounds that some children have. Obviously, not everybody's got the same background at school, and it's quite eye opening about how some people come from very different walks of life, and it's not always obvious. Really enjoyed it. Really good read. As I said, I do prefer the foster care memoirs to these ones, but nevertheless, it's worth reading if you're a fan of Casey Watson. It's definitely one that I'm glad I read a second time. I couldn't really remember it from the first time because it had been quite a while, and I'm glad I picked it up again. Definitely one that I recommend.